This is a really lovely garden, and of course we're doing our best to wreck it. We've got a trench in here, and that's an 18th or 19th century cobbled farmyard surface. We've got another trench just around here, and oh, hang on 1 minute, just turn around here and you can see our family having a cup of tea. But anyway, we've got our farmyard cobbled surface still in this trench, and here, cobbled surface again. As usual, Phil's working incredibly hard for the cause. But is he wasting his time? Stuart's got some news for us.
Whatever you're going to say to us, Stuart, you better say it soon, as you're going to get buried, I think, because the way Phil's going at it there.
Am I right in understanding that you put this trench in on the basis of a deed?
Yeah, a little map with in the deeds, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to show where the site of the King's Chapel is.
That one, yeah.
This deed, showing site of King's Chapel and the little building there, is actually a straight copy of the 1922 map over here. We see a little building.
And in fact, the antiquity sign is in the wrong place.
That's right.
It's in the plot next door.
Over in the lumber yard over there.
Truth.
Hold on, so where it says here, site of King's Chapel, and we've dug in this one.
Yeah, but it's
actually referring to this cross.
It's referring to that cross.
And that's the cross that's in the lumber
they
yard.
They didn't put the cross on there, look.
Phil, you're digging in the wrong garden. Nick misinterpreted the map.
Hey, hang on. Several people misinterpreted the map.
Oh, hang on.
He's going to start chucking stuff.
Why am I in the wrong garden?
Because the big X that says site of the chapel is actually next door.
Over there.
All right.
It's only the writing that's across this garden.
Well, I'm still not going to leave this one until we resolve what's here.
Quite right.
Thank you.
Quite right. But don't hold your breath, I think, is the answer.
Phil's absolutely right. We have to finish these trenches. The map on the deeds may be wrong, but we don't know for sure that the chapel isn't in this garden. Not only that, but there could be Saxon material to find here that's much deeper down.
There are local historians who pointed to...
I'd love to find some Saxon pottery for the villagers at least. And I've heard that this car park might be the place to look, because there are written accounts that say this was the site of the Saxon palace. Is this the kind of place where they might have built a palace?
Well, yes, because it's well sited at the top of a hill, and without the buildings here, you'd have a very commanding view of the surrounding valleys, and you could see people approaching. It's an important crossing point. We've got a very good Anglo-Saxon place name here.
Well, Islip?
Yes, it comes from the Old English "yikslepa," meaning the slipway or the slope by the river, the old river name.
There's no doubting Islip was a Saxon settlement, and this could be the place to dig in search of the palace tomorrow. But now, as we approach the end of the day, there's bad news about our trench here in the woodyard. It's turned up nothing but natural geology. There's no sign of the chapel.
Come on, you want to see this?
But there is still hope, because Stuart's been studying the maps and has a new theory that we might find evidence of the chapel in this garden.
We know it was a detached building from the sketch. It was oriented east-west.
It says that on the sketch as well.
And it was about 15 yards by 7, so we know that much.
Yeah.
And we know from the references it was likely to be standing in...
1805, a barn standing on the side of the chapel is definitely there in 1805.
Now, this map here is 1806, so it should be on this map, really.
Yeah,
and actually, when you look at the map closely, there are two detached buildings, oriented east-west.
Right.
So
it's
it
one of those.
could be one of those two.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
one is very close to the church, but it's too small when you measure it. There's another one which is the right size, and that's in this garden here. So logic-wise, we should, if we can, examine both those, but this one looks the better candidate on its size.
Well, the way things are going, I reckon we should dig both sites. The trouble is, this building is buried under the extension to the graveyard, but we might still be able to get permission to dig there with help from local contacts. Joanna, did you manage to speak to your old man?
Yes, I think what we need is an archdeacon's licence rather than we don't have to wait for a faculty because that would take too long. But the office doesn't open until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, so as soon as the office opens, we'll get onto the archdeacon's office.
Thanks very much. That's very good
Fingers
news.
crossed.
So, is the chapel in Joanna's house? Is it next door? Is it under the churchyard? We'll find out tomorrow. Day 3 in our search for an early mill in Dotton in Devon. At the end of yesterday, Phil found an intriguing piece of wood.
Oh, well.
That is interesting, isn't it?
Didn't expect that.
But what is this?
This is a piece of the water wheel. It's the rim.
How do you know that?
Well, look, you've got a really nice curve there, and we've got a lump of wood here, which I think is part of the base of a paddle.
And what are these lumpy bits?
Well, we've got bits of pins for holding the paddles in place.
But do you know that the water wheel would have looked like that?
I do, because we've got this really nice late 19th century photograph.
That's cheating.
Which shows us the rim of the water wheel.
So this actually is part of that?
That wheel is a fragment there.
Late 19th century?
Late 19th century, judging by the guy with the flat cap.
Late 19th century doesn't sound much, really, but actually it's 150 years ago, virtually, isn't it? In his trench, Phil started digging. But there's a problem. There's more wood, but there also seems to be concrete.
Oh, what the hell? This is confusing, Mike. Because there's actually a piece of timber. This timber is coming right in underneath there.
Underneath the concrete?
Underneath the concrete. And yet, it's occupying this trough in the concrete, and it looks for all the world as though I've got concrete. I'm not sure whether I haven't got concrete right the way down there.
Could it like be stone at the bottom, Phil, rather than concrete? An earlier lining of the wheel pit?
Well, it might be.
Because if you've got wood underneath the concrete, that might mean we've got an earlier structure to the wheel pit.
Yeah, but then you see, if this concrete is laid directly on it, it might actually be stuck onto it. Well, I reckon that concrete's going to have to come up, one way or the other.
At the other end of the mill building, we've already gone through the floor of the domestic area, but there's nothing datable and no other features. This trench did give us some internal walls. We begin to plot them out to see if we can understand how this building worked.
Ian, I think that's perhaps where we stop, because I think we've got some form of ordnance going on.
And this time, it's not a stray bullet.
Right here, right behind us.
It looks like a very real, very live artillery shell.
Hi, it's Faye here. Is anyone around to come and have a look at some potential ordnance in my trench, please?
We'll get someone over.
Brilliant, thank you. I don't want to get too close, actually, funnily enough. Strange.
It's the afternoon of day 2 at our German anti-aircraft gun emplacement in Jersey.
Share this with me.
And it looks like we've just found a very unwelcome reminder of what this site was all about.
Well, it's definitely the base of a shell case. It's almost certainly an 88. What I don't know at the moment is whether it's the actual case is alive and whether there's a shell at the end of it, which is the more hazardous part of the item. This material here might very well be propellant. So we are talking about quite a long case.
OK. And potentially then unfired or fired?
Definitely unfired.
Back at Faye's trench, we're now ready to lift our unwelcome find.
Oh, my gosh. OK, what's that?
It is 88, but it's what they call a drill round, and they would use it for practice and drill when they're firing the guns.
So it's not dangerous?
No.
Ah, that's a relief.
I think this may need further investigation.
During the occupation period, 40 to 45, we're talking about some 65,000 plus mines being laid in the island and probably over 26,000 tonnes of other munitions.
And it means for the next 3 days, our archaeologists are going to have to be rather careful when it comes to any small finds they uncover.
This is a 75. If you happen to tap one with your trowel, I suggest you stop tapping it and basically make your way away from it.
So, are you still happy to go ahead with this?
I think I feel slightly more cautious about that whole thing. Join Time Team on Patreon to access exclusive 3D models, masterclasses and behind-the-scenes insights.